Hey folks, this is Kalani. Patch 11.2 goes live on August 5th, and there is so much new content coming our way. We have a new zone to explore, new story quests that wrap up the War Within expansion and set the stage for what comes next in Midnight. There are a bunch of interesting open world systems, changes to how delves and dungeons work, some huge class changes and reworks, new class sets that interact with hero talent trees, and the bank system is getting a huge overhaul as well. And of course, we have new seasonal content, including a new raid, new dungeon, and a new delve. Season 3 will also progress quite a bit differently, so let's go over everything coming in patch 11.2 and Season 3 of the War Within. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. To start with, patch 11.2 introduces a brand new zone for us to explore. We're heading to Karesh, the shattered homeworld of the Ethereals, to hunt down the Dark Heart and try to prevent the return of Dimensius, the Void Lord responsible for Karesh's current state. If Dimensius isn't stopped, Azeroth could be the next world left in fragments. We'll meet new friends, plenty of familiar faces, new enemies, and there's a whole bunch to explore. With this being the last patch of the expansion, we'll also have an epilogue chapter which closes the doors on the War Within expansion and sets the stage for the events in Midnight. So we have the events of patch 11.2 and the world of Karesh, then there's story progression in the raid and new dungeon coming with the patch, and we wrap things up with an epilogue. And as per usual, we have a lot of side stories that go over the history of Karesh and its people, so there's a lot of story content to look forward to in this patch. During our adventures, we'll obtain the Reshi Wraps, a new artifact cloak slot item that unlocks new powers and new gameplay options. Everyone will be using this cloak for the rest of the expansion, so if you've got a crafted cloak with an embellishment on it, you might want to swap that over to a different slot before this patch goes live. You'll be able to choose what secondary stats your cloak provides by socketing in these special fiber sockets. You can buy these from a special vendor, and you can craft some better ones with tailoring, so tailoring is going to be very important in this next patch. You can freely swap these fiber sockets around as well, so if you want to swap specialization, or if certain talent builds prefer different secondary stats, you will have full flexibility to change your cloak whenever you want. The main power boosts from this cloak will be unlocked by a new currency called Ethereal Strands. We'll have a little talent window to progress through, and each unlock will provide new bonuses. The first unlock gives your cloak a special ability tied to your specialization, so for DPS you'll get a proc that deals some extra damage, for healers the proc helps out with your healing, and then for tanks you'll get a proc that reduces your incoming damage. They're not super exciting by any means, but they will provide you with a little bit of extra oomph for whatever role you're currently filling. The cloak also changes with you as you change role and spec, so again it is fully flexible. Every other unlock in the tree opens up new content options, like seeing treasures while phase diving, being able to collect orbs while phase diving that can grant you bonus stats, and transmog appearances. You can find special rooms in delves, and you can unlock special transmog appearances that match your Reshi Wraps as well. So as the weeks go by and your cloak becomes more powerful, we'll have more ways to play in the new zone. Each upgrade is also going to increase the item level of your cloak by 6 or 7. So we start with an item level 694 cloak, and then when everything is fully unlocked we'll have about an item level 730 cloak, so everyone will want to fully upgrade their cloak no matter what. The cloak will also have an alt catch-up built in right from the beginning. After completing the quests and obtaining your cloak on one character, you'll be able to skip over the entire intro section and get your cloak straight away on all of your alts. The Ethereal Strands currency you use to power up and upgrade your cloak is also a warband-wide currency, so your alts should be able to upgrade their cloaks right away, as well as unlock the higher item levels, new powers, and those special gameplay options. Ethereal Strands can be earned from completing delves, Mythic Plus dungeons, PvP matches, killing bosses in the new raid, and from completing warrant quests. I believe the idea is for us to be able to get one upgrade or unlock per week, so as the weeks go by our cloak will get more powerful and we'll have some new stuff to do. One of the special gameplay options that Reshi Wraps opens up is called phase diving. You can use phase conduits to enter a different plane of existence, with special quests, mobs, rares, and treasures to discover. A good chunk of the content in this patch is tied to phase diving, so you'll be swapping back and forth between these two planes of existence quite often. You can also quickly move between any phase conduit you've previously visited in the zone, so you can use phase diving as another form of fast travel to zip around the map super fast. We'll also have warrant quests to complete. These are special weekly quests that you can pick up in the Tazavesh hub. Warrant quests task you with hunting down a particularly dangerous foe. There are a few steps to these quests, which usually involve doing some other daily quests to unlock special items or gather hints as to your quarry's location, but you are well rewarded in the end. Another new feature in this zone is the ecological succession system. The Karesh zone has several eco-domes that kinda serve as a last bastion of life. In one of these domes, Venari is trying to cultivate a new kind of ecosystem using critters and beasties from all over. Your job is to do all of the actual work to make this whole project come to life. So you'll be collecting beasties from various zones, bringing them into the fold, seeing how they change the ecosystem, and generally just keeping things running. There's a console you can interact with to check how each new species is doing and how it's contributing to the environment. It's kind of like playing Planet Zoo in World of Warcraft. Taking part in the various activities can reward you with Renown, Valor Stones, and even carved crests, so you'll be able to get some decent gear upgrades from building and upgrading your zoo. It's also one of the sources of your weekly caches in patch 11.2. We're also going to have a new reputation faction to earn renown with called the Karesh Trust. Pretty much everything you do in the Karesh zone will be earning you renown with this new faction, and they have some very interesting rewards on offer. They offer recipes for tailors that teach you how to craft the more powerful fibers to socket into your cloak to get some more secondary stats. You can pick up an infinite augment rune at rank 18, so you don't have to buy augment runes for the rest of the expansion if you don't want to. There are plenty of ethereal style transmogs to collect, and a couple creepy void-themed mounts as well. Karesh also has a new world boss for you to hunt down every week. Our new loot pinata for Season 3 is called Reshanor the Untethered. They drop item level 688 champion warbound gear, so they're keeping the changes made in Season 2, where you're more or less guaranteed a piece of gear from your first kill of the week, but it will be warbound and not necessarily useful for your current character. The good news is that if you kill the world boss every week, you are going to end up with a nice stockpile of warbound gear, which should make gearing up your ults quite a bit easier in the future. Patch 11.2 also introduces a bunch of new content for the Delve system, including a brand new delve for us to venture into. The Archival Assault takes us back to the Azure Archives, the Blue Dragonflight's store of knowledge that we initially explored in Dragonflight. Such a hoard of wealth was bound to attract the attention of the Ethereals, so we need to drive them out and clean up the mess they've left behind. I think it's a good way to reuse some older environments that won't see a lot of use outside of the odd transmog run or two, so I think this is a good idea. As with every other season, we'll be collecting and upgrading a new Delve-specific mount. For Season 3, we have the Delver's Mana Skimmer, which comes with all new customization options for you to unlock and tinker about with. Most of these options will come from the new Delve seasonal journeys, so every Delve you complete will help you progress through this reward track. There are a lot of customization options for your new Delve mount, but there are some other notable rewards in here as well. We're actually going to have to unlock the ability to loot Delver's bounty mats this time, which is a very important change and will delay those big upgrades for a little while at the very least. We can pick up more coffer keys as per usual, and there's also a new teleport toy, but this time you'll be able to use the Delver's Mana Bound Ethergate to teleport back to the Delve staging area in Dornagal. So that's just going to be a free Dornagal teleport whenever it's available. But perhaps the most interesting unlock is from the third notch or reward called Ethereal Visit. At the end of Tier 9 or above Delve clears, an ethereal vendor will appear who will sell you any seasonal Delve trinket on the champion gear track. So they're going to start at item level 681 and can be upgraded pretty far. Each trinket will cost you 2,000 undercoins, so they definitely aren't super cheap, but if one of your best in slot trinkets comes from Delves in Season 3, or really if any of the trinkets are good, you will have a guaranteed way of picking up those trinkets at a pretty decent item level, which can serve you well until RNG blesses you with something better from the raid or from Mythic Plus. Having more deterministic gearing options is definitely a good thing in my opinion. With undercoins being a warband transferable currency, this also means it will be a very easy way to get some decent trinkets on all of your alts once you've got a good stockpile of undercoins under your belt. You just need to transfer them over to your alts, clear a tier 9 delve, and you can buy whatever trinkets that you want. We'll also have a new nemesis for Season 3, Nexus Princess Kaiveza. If that name seems familiar, I wouldn't be too surprised. Kaiveza was a boss in the first raid of this expansion, and I guess she's stirring up trouble relating to delves. If the past 2 nemesis bosses are anything to go by, we should see Kaiveza poking her head into your delves randomly, and the actual boss fight should be quite interesting. From the little preview that we had of this patch, it looks like she's going to use a lot of abilities from her raid encounter, so that's going to involve a whole lot of dodging. As with previous seasons, defeating Kaiveza on the higher difficulty all by yourself will reward you with a special version of that season's delve mount. For Season 3 you can get the hyperdrive variation of the Mana Skimmer, which looks very cool indeed, and definitely fits the whole ethereal vibe that we've got going on. Something else that's new and interesting in patch 11.2 for delves is that your Reshiram's artifact Cloak will actually open up special rooms in delves. So you may come across a boss rush style room where you have to last as long as possible, or special puzzle and challenge rooms, all which sound very cool and should hopefully help change things up as you rerun some of these delves for the umpteenth time. The dev team are also taking a note from Elden Ring and other Souls-like games for this patch. While adventuring through a delve, you may see a ghostly image of your friends, showing you exactly where they decided to explore and where they may have gotten stuck. We'll also be able to leave messages on the floor, which sounds like a recipe for mischief, and we will even see how people have died. So if you see a ghostly image jump off a ledge or platform and that ends up in their death, not only can you have a little chuckle, but hopefully you can learn from their mistakes as well. I always enjoyed coming across these kinds of things in Souls-like games, so I'm very interested to see how this plays out in delves. All of the nemesis monsters in delves will also be replaced by ethereals, so expect a bit of a challenge as you learn their abilities and figure out which elites are the really dangerous ones. Baran will have a whole new set of curios to collect with new effects and abilities, and we'll lose our current collection as we did heading into Season 2, so no more mechasaurs or bioprints for now. We'll also now be able to see which delve storyline is active for the day by hovering over the delve entrance on the world map, which is absolutely huge. Certain stories are much faster than others, and some can be a real pain to get through, so being able to check that on the world map before you head on over can save you a lot of time, especially if there are a couple of stories that you just refuse to play through again. And then the last really cool update is that the Tazavesh hub will also have portals to each currently active bountiful delve for the day, so you don't have to go gallivanting all over the place or wait for your delve bot to come off cooldown to head down to a bountiful delve. These portals take care of the vast majority of the legwork for you. You just need to find an easy way back to Tazavesh when you're done with your run. Now moving on, patch 11.2 will also introduce the Manaforge Omega raid. This is an 8-boss raid with one of the bosses being optional, which isn't something we've seen in recent expansions, so that's kind of interesting. They do drop some very powerful loot though, so I imagine most folks will still want to go out of their way to clear that boss. From the previews with Sin of the Raid, it looks very cool, and it has one of the largest end bosses we've seen. Dimensius is almost too big. I'm very interested to see how that encounter is going to play out, because I kinda doubt we'll just be tickling his toes like we do for most huge bosses. A new raid means a lot of shiny new gear to collect, with special or unique items scattered throughout the bosses. Just like in patch 11.1, we'll have a special Renown track that's tied to the raid. You can earn Renown by killing bosses and mini-bosses in the new Manaforge Omega raid to unlock extra rewards and bonuses that can help you progress further. We have a stacking damage and healing bonus, just like in Season 2. We have movement speed boosts, we'll be able to make trash easier to clear through, which could be super useful and save a lot of time. There are skips to later bosses, various mounts to collect, new profession recipes, chances to get more war-bound gear from your raid runs, some cool titles, and a raid teleport spell right at the end. This Renown track is also only 15 unlocks long, so we'll be able to fully earn all of these rewards 5 weeks earlier than we did in Season 2, assuming everything works the same, so that's a great change as well. We also have a bunch of changes coming to dungeons. To start with, we have a new dungeon to explore called Ecodome Aldani. It's a 3-boss dungeon, the encounters are really fun from what I've tested, and the dungeon is a pretty cool environment too. It all takes place in one of the Ethereal's ecodomes, so it's a bit more lively when compared to the scarred wastelands outside. And what's really interesting is that the story of this dungeon actually takes place pretty much after everything else, so it's one of the last story plot points we have for the expansion, which is definitely a change of pace. We'll also have a new Mythic Plus season to look forward to, with a different dungeon pool. For Season 3, we'll see the return of Arakara, the Dawnbreaker, the Priory of the Sacred Flame, and Operation Floodgate. So those 4 War Within dungeons will be available once again. Then we'll have the new dungeon, Ecodome Aldani, added into the mix, the Halls of Atonement are being brought back from the Shadowlands, and then both wings of the Tazavesh Mega Dungeon will round out the Season 3's choice of dungeons. So it's a good mix of old and new, and most of them fit the theme of this patch quite well. The Tazavesh Mega Dungeon will also return in full as a Mega Dungeon, with its hard modes available for an extra challenge. Completing the Mega Dungeon also rewards weekly Great Vault credit on par with Mythic Plus 10 dungeon completions, so you can max out your Vault rewards without taking part in the Mythic Plus system this season. So if you prefer to take your time, not have any timers or restrictions or affixes to worry about, and you basically just want a mini raid style challenge for you and your close friends to get stuck into, the Tazavesh Mega Dungeon gives you that option and you'll be well rewarded for your efforts. Another huge change coming in patch 11.2 is the addition of the Vote to Abandon feature, and a penalty for players who leave dungeons too often. When you start a Mythic Plus run, you won't be able to leave that group or dungeon run without a penalty unless your group decides to forfeit the key and run with a vote. Anyone can start the vote to abandon the key, and if enough people agree, you go your separate ways, but if enough people do not agree, you are expected to finish up that dungeon run. If you leave a dungeon early without a vote to abandon, you'll get a leavers penalty mark. If you leave too many dungeons, that mark will appear when you sign up for dungeon groups, and you'll need to complete dungeons to remove the mark. So everybody's going to be able to see if you leave a lot of dungeons. It's going to be really interesting to see if this feature makes any meaningful difference to the pugging experience in Season 3. And then the last change for dungeons is that dungeon checkpoints are getting a bit of an overhaul. We'll see more checkpoints throughout most dungeons, so less long runbacks when you die towards the end of your dungeon runs, and the checkpoint will be clearly marked on your maps with these new waystones. So not only will we have more checkpoints to make running back faster and easier, but you should always be able to quickly see exactly where you are going to spawn if you hit that release spirit button. Now, while we won't see many huge changes for professions overall, we will have a new spark to collect for Season 3. This time we'll be using sparks of starlight to fuel our crafting, and crafted gear can go up to item level 720, so it'll be just as powerful in Season 3 as it has been throughout the entire expansion. You can get sparks of starlight from the usual weekly activities and rewards, as well as the new ones in the Karesh zone. Now, Season 3 is going to work and progress a bit differently. Instead of almost everything gear-related being locked for a week, we'll actually have a good chunk of gearing opportunities right when the patch goes live. We'll have full access to non-bountiful delves, so you can start unlocking the higher tiers right away. We'll also have Heroic and Mythic 0 dungeons available in that first week, with updated Season 3 rewards. Mythic 0 dungeons will drop item level 681 champion gear, and the new world boss will be available right away too, which can drop item level 688 champion gear. So we're going to have more content available in that first week, and we'll be able to start gearing up right away with Season 3 gear. We're also going to get brand new tier sets to collect that power up your character even further. The tier set bonuses are also quite special this time because every single spec will have access to 2 different set bonuses. Instead of being tied to your specialization and its abilities and talents, the Season 3 set bonuses will instead interact with your hero talent trees, and because each spec has 2 hero talent trees to choose from, that means you'll get 2 different set bonuses to play around with. The set bonuses will change as you swap your hero talents around, so they're really flexible as well. Some of the bonuses are really going to change up how the hero talents play, like giving you more access to your hardest hitting abilities, or just ramping up some of the passive effects like crazy. This patch also includes some massive class changes, and even some reworks for certain specializations. Both Frost and Unholy Death Knights will see some huge updates, Beast Mastery and Marksmanship Hunters have some big changes, with even more updates for the Dark Ranger hero talent tree, Brewmaster Monk is finally seeing some updates, and Shadow Priests are getting a large round of changes as well. And then everyone else will see at least some balance tuning updates to shake things up a bit. And then the last major change was something that was kinda sprung on us quite recently, and that's the bank system overhaul coming in patch 11.2. The old bank, the Regent bank, and void storage are all being combined into a new window that uses tabs instead of bag slots, so your character's personal bank will look more or less exactly the same as a guild bank or your warband bank. There are 6 tabs to unlock, and the new storage limits are higher than the previous bank, Regent bank, and void storage combined, so not only will this be easier to manage and look cleaner overall, but we actually get more storage with the swap over as well. But that's everything coming in patch 11.2 and season 3 of The War Within, so that's it for this video. What are you most looking forward to in the new patch? The new raid and seasonal content, the new zone and story, or are you more excited about learning about the Midnight expansion and where we're going next? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can find links in the description or click the join button just below the video. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful in any way, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're always kept up to date. Thanks for watching, folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.